answer. We'll do that after we're done introducing the top right spawning as the red Terran player. It's going to be TY, playing for Africa Freaks, of course.
And his opponent in the bottom left, after a strong start into this group, maybe surprising a couple, it is Team Liquid's Clem.
Nice. Yeah. So, Lambo especially is still quite knowledgeable about TVT, as both of us do like to off-race, so we won't have as in-depth knowledge as we do of any of the Protoss or Zerg matchup, but we will still be able to tell you what's going on and how these builds tend to interact with each other. We see a gas first coming out of TY.
Mm-hmm.
What does that indicate here, Lambo?
Well, that he wants to get up his factory a little bit earlier than usual. I still believe that he is going for the quick expansion, similar to Clem. So we're gonna see if either of them SCV scout right now. Clem is already scouting, so he's playing it relatively safe with the 1 Rex expand, and I believe Tira will be doing the same while still having an early factory himself. So that's mostly the difference.
I think very common if you play gas first is to not SCV scout. So when you get the gas first, you start your mining of gas a bit early, and that costs you minerals. And usually the thing you need to increase your economy is minerals. SCVs cost minerals, CC costs minerals. Anything that overall increases your economy always will cost minerals. So the more minerals you mine, the better your economy tends to get. So what TY is doing is he takes a little bit of an economic hit by playing gas first, and then he tries to win it back by not scouting. So basically TY, if he doesn't just straight up die or takes a bit of damage, he's going to have a slight lead because he does have that extra gas. And as Lambo mentioned, we now see that faster factory here on the map for TY by about, I believe it's 12 or 13 seconds usually.
Mm-hmm. And Clem went for the little bit safer approach with the scout, obviously going Reaper into Marine, so he's going to have both of those. So I'm not expecting, especially with the ramp here, to have any of the Reapers moving out. Even goes for a second Marine afterwards. And I mean, this might be something where a bunch of Terran players on the ladder, they're like, man, why would you do this? This is so greedy, isn't it? But these are tournament games, and there's a lot of preparation going into this, and Tiwa is just calling out Clem in his game number 1. You're not going to proxy Reaper me. You're not going to do anything weird, like a proxy marauder or anything of those sorts, and he's getting away with it.
Yeah, I mean, it isn't the biggest reach either, right, on Oxide. It's a rampy map. He opened with Reaper gets a Marine after. I think even if he does get Proxy Reaper, he might struggle a bit. But I think with the micro that TY has shown so far today on how on top he is of that, he might have just been fine. But as that's not the case, let's focus on what we are seeing here. We see that faster starport coming out of TY because of that gas first, and we see a tech lab on the factory as well for him. So most likely going to be seeing like a Cyclone first and a Raven. Ooh, actually, no, this should be Banshee, huh?
Well, or a Viking at first, and then the Ravens afterwards. He is going into that. Yeah, he is actually going into a Banshee already. Third gas as a standard for TVT. And I actually asked Special because I wanted some advice about the TVT. Since I am playing around 6k MMR, but it is my weakest matchup, I asked him, and he told me that basically there are 500 different openers right now that are good. And there is some luck involved in the early game to pick the right one. And he said it's very annoying, actually. In this case, they are mostly mirroring each other. So the one difference right now is that TY is going into a second Cyclone, whereas Clem is going into a tank after first Cyclone. Neither of them are going for Cloak early on. So there's that. So it's not like one of them will just straight up die because they didn't make a Raven.
Yeah, does not seem to be the case indeed. And as you mentioned, second Cyclone here for TY will be able to split them up, one in the main, one in the natural, and should be absolutely fine. Raven coming out for TY as a follow-up of that Banshee, and I can't imagine anything else here for Clem, right? It just has to be a Raven coming out of him as well. Yep, there we go. Raven starts for him as well as his third CC. So playing relative mirrors, just everything that TY is doing is just slightly faster because of that faster factory. And Clem actually going for a bit of a move out. So he either wants to move out or he wants to fake a move out while going in with the Banshee. And now that both of these Cyclones are on the map, Clem is like, hey, wait a second. If Cyclones are on the map, what is there at home? And he starts poking forward with that Banshee.
And the answer is not that much, honestly, in the main base. He does have 5 Marines and a Raven, but those are at the natural right now, and TY did not expect this. He saw the tank at the front. He thought maybe there would be a frontal push coming, but just wanted to keep the map control of the Cyclones, and both players are starting to lose SCVs here. 4 already down for TY, who's now responding with his own auto turret, so also Raven energy expanded here, whereas Clem has his Cyclones a little bit closer to his base, and he's gonna get rid of that Banshee for sure.
Yeah, so both Banshees will end up falling. Clem will lose 8 workers, but he doesn't expend any of his Raven energy, and he's now gonna actually use that as a trigger to start attacking. Is there a second Raven on the map? There's no second Raven on the map for TY, which means that Clem will be able to get 1 disable off for free, or he might go for a turret. And if the Vikings aren't with this army, Clem, oh my god, he's also gonna get a free Cyclone. This is big.
This is very, very big. Now, the thing is, TY went into Viking production way earlier, so he has something later on that can give him the air advantage and can give him the vision, but in a straight-up fight, TY's army right now is a lot weaker than Clem's, and he realizes that, lifts back the third towards the main base, and cedars up his tanks in a safe position, and now he can start poking forward with the Vikings. Oh, Clem needs to be careful with the Ravens, okay. Eats a shot, but so far so good.
Something that I just noted, by the way, is that the barracks 2 and 3 are extremely delayed here for TY, and Clem's are already finished. He's already getting reactors on both, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's going to be the one in charge this game. He's going to be the one making the plays with the bigger Marine count. Now, and for TY, the only thing that's going to matter is to try and not take any damage whatsoever. Clem, for now, just absolutely happy, denying that third base from landing. He's going to be absolutely fine with that.
Yeah, he's gonna need to pull back once the Liberators are out. So the reason why the barracks are delayed is because Vikings cost a lot of minerals, and he already had 5 Vikings against like a single Viking from Clem. So that's the reason for it. And obviously, air advantage is very good, but you can't just move out on the map against Clem that will have Stim, soon combat shields, and 1-1 way before T-Ball will have this 1-1. So I like what you said there, because I think it's gonna look more like TY will defend for quite a while, unless he wants to straight up push with the Vikings, which I kind of doubt.
And usually I'd get worried for players, right? But for TY, he seems to be very, very okay with just defending. A lot of the time, these Liberators are getting way more damage than they ever should have here. This was a mistake by Clem not unsieging those tanks once he saw them come. He does manage to pick off both the Liberators, but I think this position is now broken. Stim forward. Clem doesn't quite agree with that assessment as he stays after a scan.
Very sloppy control by TY. He took some tank shots as well, and yeah, like it's the trade itself wasn't too bad. He lost I think 2 or 3 tanks against the 2 Liberators, and he kept his Ravens alive. The thing is, he used most of the Raven energy, so he needs to be a little bit careful now. But he's containing him for so long, whereas he's already mining himself. Now, there is some counter-harassment going on with the auto turrets, which is killing 7 SCVs, which maybe is a little bit more than it should get, to be honest, for a harassment that doesn't really move. So even kills 9. But I don't think that matters too much for Clem right now, where TY is already getting a 4th CC, but he hasn't even landed his 3rd one yet.
Oh, we see a drop loading up into the main base. There's so many Vikings, and with 6 Vikings you can one-shot a medevac, so Clem needs to be extremely careful there. Did he forget his armory? Yes. I was waiting for 2-2 to start. I'm like, wait, does he not have an armory? And then I see TY's armory already starting, and Clem forgetting his armory is kind of painful because he had a really nice upgrade lead, and he still is way ahead in supply, but being up in upgrades can be so big in these Marine tank battles, especially if tanks aren't sieged yet.
Yeah, exactly. Now the thing is, how much will that supply advantage really matter if TY just stays defensive for the rest of the game? And he keeps being annoying with this one Raven, which is really, really cool. It's completely out of energy now, but it might even get away. And it's now going to see that there is, in fact, no 4th CC yet. So he has his 4th way earlier, and I think that's going to make it so TY is just going to turtle for quite a while now. Whereas Clem is going to try to look for an opportunity. Maybe when the buy units are out of position to go in with the interference matrix. Maybe he's going to try to do it right now. Yeah.
That gets 2 of the tanks. Good splits. Combat shield has finished for him. 1-1 is done as well. Needs to be careful though. There's a lot of tanks still in the back there. And even though this looked like a move with potential, it also had the potential to kind of give away his lead. And it feels like that's what happened. We now have TY with an air lead, actually dropping a bunch of these Vikings. Marines coming in as well. Where's the reinforcements for Clem? The answer is not here. Vikings go back into the sky, and Clem actually needs to start running.
Yeah, this was a disaster for Clem. He didn't start his 2-2 upgrades yet either, so now TY is the one with the upgrade advantage as well as the sky superiority with these Vikings in the air. Now TY doesn't have medevac, so he needs to be careful with these Marines. They're all very low on hit points already, but now he can start slow pushing with this Viking advantage. And that was a terrible fight for Clem. He also lost one of the Ravens very early on into the fight, so he doesn't have that anymore. And now he really needs to watch out. He needs to be super in position. He needs to constantly scan for where exactly those tanks are. Oh, he's getting one of the medevac picked off, one shot by Vikings. And this is a very rough position now all of a sudden for Clem. Complete 180 of what the situation looked like a minute ago.
Yeah, it's painful to watch here, as Clem's also down in tanks by quite a bit. He's still working off a single factory, I believe, so that's not going to change anytime soon. 2-2 is about to finish for TY. He still has a Raven as well, and with such a low tank count, I think he might just try what Clem just did, except he might succeed, because with 2-2, superior tank count, and up in upgrades, I don't really see a good way for Clem to defend all of these bases. We now see a big pivot towards the right side. TY is not going to be able to quite catch this, as you mentioned before. Medevac count hasn't been great this game for him, so does need to be careful. Tank's now in range of the third base, by the way.
Clem realizes there are no Marines. He scans forward and now he stims and he will eliminate most of the tanks that are on the left. Very good move by Clem. And this is right before TY's 2-2 is done as well. If he could take a fight right now against these orange Marines, it would favor him. Obviously, he can't just run into tank fire, because tanks will still obliterate his own Marines as well. So
well, technically, he can, but it's not recommended.
Yes, okay, let's put it like that to be more correct. As he does have a way bigger medevac count, by the way. Now, finally, the Marines are on the right side are all healed up, but there is still a bunch of low Marines. And this can tip the favor into Clem's side if he gets a straight up Marine versus Marine engagement without many tanks.
These tanks are getting a couple of pot shots off here with their long range. 2-2 is about to finish up. Clem just kind of haphazardly stimming a bunch of Marines trying to catch these Vikings. Now, the one thing that I'm kind of afraid of here for TY is that right side base is still an orbital, so needs to be careful. Loses 2 tanks here for free as well. Good move there by Clem. Liberators are joining now with TY's army, but Clem is getting the upper hand in these small trades here. There is no Vikings yet on his side. No, I lied. There is 2.
Yeah, he has more Vikings now. He killed all the Vikings but 1, so these Liberators are going to be completely useless once Clem decides to show his Vikings.
I think he wants to... Well, oh no, he's not hiding them anymore. Oh, we actually see a drop into the main base, but Clem can just load up. Should not be much of an issue here, as the Vikings are there as well. Should be able to actually maybe catch this?
He's gonna try to at the very least. Meanwhile, TY is using it for a flank as well, but there are no tanks from TY involved in this fight. Clem is very late with the siege up though, and it looks like a very, very decent trade for TY considering the situation here.
Yeah, it felt like TY should have had a way worse trade there, but ends up fighting okay there, I would say. We still have a bunch of tanks in the middle of the map. Clem with a supply lead once again. This game is just ping-ponging between these two guys, from lead to lead, and so many small engagements that are happening all the time. Pot shots by tanks over a longer range. We now have Clem with the Viking lead. He is still down in upgrades though, so ideally he tries to force something while it's 2-2 versus 2-2. He's gonna get these tanks for free. What's the tank count for TY? It's going down to 4 right now.
Yeah, Clem overtook him in the tank count. And now it's even more of an advantage. Now TY is stimming at the bottom, but I'm not sure this set of units is equipped with dealing with this planetary very fast. Clem stimming into the third base of TY, and there's no planetary here whatsoever. So he's gonna get a lot of SCVs to begin with, but now he probably should get out.
Yeah, left side base of Clem, the third base is also now... I don't think the base is going to die, but all of these SCVs most likely are going to fall. Oh, TY actually making the mistake of going for the CC. I was afraid he wouldn't be able to get the SCVs, but of course with the Marine DPS that was a wrong thought there. Right side base does stay alive, orbital stays alive. Man, this is this game's bananas, honestly.
I think Clem doesn't realize as well that TY has literally 0 planetary. So his 5th base is the main base that landed there, and his 4th base also an orbital, because he made the 4th super early. So if Clem ever finds the time to just load up a single medevac drop and drop there, it's going to be very, very... Oh, he scans it. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him split up his units himself now and do do some multi-pro.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either. And even if he doesn't, Clem is in a good position. He's lacking a sensor tower on that right side, and the sensor tower that's currently being constructed is not going to be in time. There's a couple of tanks in his natural, but will they be able to siege up in time? Yes, they will. We get good shots off on those Marines, and now the tanks of TY are in danger of dying against this good splits of Clem, and he cleans house.
Yeah, very, very good defense by Clem, who also now has an extra orbital. So he's overall way better setup than TY because he has 2 planetaries on his most exposed locations. And right now he also has the army lead. And again, this is a relatively late siege up, and he just has more Marines here. Clem is stimming forward, and he's taking another fight.
I think this very well might just be it, Lambo. There's no planetaries to fall back on. There is no tanks to fall. There's a single tank right now, and it's rolling down the natural. It's going around the bend, but it's not going to be in time to save this third base. And these SCVs will have to evacuate. And without a planetary on the right side, these SCVs can hear the sounds of their brothers falling already, and they know what's coming for them. But all they do is mine, 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 no matter what. We see a semi-base raid being initiated here out of TY, but yeah. I mean, it's going to be rough. There's enough tanks at home.
Yeah, absolutely. Clem obviously knew this was going to happen. He didn't rally across, so he has 3 tanks at home with a bunch of Marines as well, and TY will just be forced to tap out, and Clem takes the 1-0 victory over the first seed from Korea.
Clem on the verge of going 3-0 in his group. He needs one more game here, and then he actually... he's 3-0. If you would have told me this yesterday, I would have been surprised. If you would have told me this a year ago, though, I would have actually checked you into a hospital, because like the growth that Clem had since last Katowice, where I believe he lost to Hurricane and Nice in the qualifier, to this point, it's just has been fantastic to watch. Now being 2-0 in this group already, up 1-0 against freaking TY. Like, these are not guys that are bad in TVT. TY is known as one of the best TVT players in the world. Like, this is the ultimate test for Clem's TVT, where people have said he is weak in his TVT. But can you really call someone weak that 2-0's beyond and is up 1-0 against TY?
I don't think you can. Yeah, I don't think you can. I think TY is considered by a lot probably the best TVT player in the world. And with the recent results that he's had in the past year, I don't think that's too far of a stretch. So it's insane what Clem is doing. You know, last year around Katowice, we've had a lot of hype around Clem, but he wasn't nearly as solid as he was right now. And now he doesn't really seem to have super weak matchups anymore. It was always like his ZVT is right here. You know, it's one of the best. And then below it's the TVP, and then maybe TVT a little bit of a weakness. But it seems like he's fixed that to this day. So that's amazing stuff, honestly, by Clem.
Yeah, this guy's crazy. I actually can't believe it. He's insane, and it's beautiful to see as well that very often when you watch foreigners versus Koreans, and the moment they lose a lead, foreigners kind of start throwing harder. You know, a lot of the time foreigners try to finish the game too fast if they get ahead, and Clem in this game, he managed to just pull it back through solid play, constant good engagements in seemingly hopeless scenarios. He lost air control, or well, he never had air control in the early game. Then he lost tanks, so many tanks that he only had 2 against like 7 or 8, and then he still managed to hold, which to me just seems absolutely insane. Such a fantastic game so far, or such a fantastic series so far out of Clem, but it's not over yet, especially if the guy here in the top right has something to say about it. It is going to be Africa Freaks TY.
And his opponent, considered to be one of the 3 best foreigners for sure, but I think still surprising people right now as he's leading his group. It is Team Liquid's Clem.
Yeah, what a kid. He's so good. He's so good. Once again, Refinery first here coming out of TY, so kind of sticking with his guns. Doesn't seem to be too upset by what happened in the early... Oh, he's going to play a hidden barracks. Oh, I like this. This I find very fun, Lambo, because this is one of them tricks, you know? You look at this, you scout in as Clem, then you're going to check the bottom side of the base, because that's where people usually put a barracks if they're doing this move. And then you move out and you're like, oh crap, he's proxying me. Is it 1 Rex? Is it 2 Rex? Is it Reaper? Well, it's Reaper. It's nothing else, but there's still some questions in your head, and you'll feel tricked if afterwards you spot that it is just a barracks in the main base. What did Clem open? Was just barracks first, right? He's opening with double gas though. So you know what the best thing to do is against people that try to mind game you is to not
You don't
scout.
scout. Yeah.
Brilliant, Clem. This is great. Always so frustrating. You have a perfect mind game prepared and the other guy isn't paying attention. This is probably even worse. You build a barracks in a silly location and the other guy doesn't scout. Now, on Pillars of Gold, there is some use to having it in the back as well. Because there's this location near the potential third base where if Terran sieges up there and you have your buildings on the ramp, you're just going to lose your buildings. You can shoot so far into the main base on this map that I don't even mind it, honestly, that his barracks is up there. At least it's going to be safe. You're not going to lose any stim on that, you know? So that's going to be quite nice.
Yeah, and even though, I mean, he's going for a mind game, this is a non-committed mind game. They're basically mirroring each other. The only difference was that Clem went Rex, gas, gas. Hero went gas, Rex, gas. So Clem's CC is slightly earlier. So TY's tech again is going to be a little bit earlier, whereas Clem's CC timings and his mineral income is going to be a little bit better.
Yeah. I wonder what we're going to see here from TY. It might just be a triple Reaper double Hellion, no? It is possible. Not great on pillars, though, with that ramp. Should just be a reactor tech.
Yeah, it's going to be a Cyclone, probably. I mean, he's making a Widowmine first, which is also pretty standard. We've also seen Clem do a tank and medevac as first units.
Yeah. He sometimes even plays mine medevac, I believe. Like he doesn't. Clem in general, when he plays 2 gas, really likes to get a medevac out. Much more so than other Terrans that I've noticed. It's going to be sacrificing these 2 Reapers, actually. Not sure if that's quite worth it. Does get a decent scout off, but I mean, sees the starport timing, doesn't even really see anything else. I'm not actually a big fan of that move. That seems like a little much. He did open up with triple Reaper double Hellion. It's now going to be following this up with straight Raven Cyclone most likely and get a couple of Marines out of that barracks to try and hold on. And what is TY going to be doing here? It's going to be a Mine Hellion Reaper and like a semi-drop with what? 2 Marines?
Yeah, probably something like that. He's doing basically what we expected Clem to do, whereas Clem is the one going for a Banshee once again, so very similar to how he opened last game. Sorry.
He's actually been liking this a lot. The single Banshee, no cloak. Very non-committed. I've been... I can't remember where I watched him. I think I watched some games where he played on Wardy's stream, and he played this a bunch of times as well. He seems very, very comfortable with it. Very non-committed. Now, he doesn't need to take care of this drop. He does have a Cyclone, he has 2 Hellions and a Reaper, and he is relatively in position. If the response time here is good, he shouldn't lose too much.
Oh, the lock-on was bad. The lock-on, he locked onto the Widowmine before it borrowed, and then the lock-on expired right away. I was about to say that TY is actually the one that needs to be careful, because he used the boost to get in, and then if you lock on to the medevac, you can kill it, but Clem just A-moved the Cyclone, and then it just picks the closest target to itself. Oh, now 2 Reapers into the main base, and Clem tried to chase the medevac. Thankfully, the second Cyclone pops out just in time to defend that raid.
As a major F2 action there coming out of Clem's the Banshee. The Banshee came back home to have a look at what these Reapers were doing. There's a panic F2 if I've ever seen one. Follow-up is going to be a Raven. Is there a Cyclone here for...
Nope.
There's no Cyclone. There's no Viking yet either, so... This non-committal Banshee seems to be quite cool and be at least a bit of a reality check. You know, it's like, hey, if you don't have any real anti-air, of course Marines do shoot up, but they're not quite as great against the Banshee, especially if you have these guys that know how to kind of drive back with the Banshee. See, hardly taking any damage. That's insane, by the way, with this ping. It's really difficult to do.
It is. Now that the medevac is there, though, the Banshees can't just 2-shot everything anymore.
Yeah.
So that should help. Another advantage of this, since he's going for double Cyclone, is that he has pure map control, because even if TY had a Cyclone, it will be forced to stay at his base. So Clem can pretty much go in front of TY's base, and he has a big warning time before anything real can happen to him. So he can just safely go for a third CC, which TY is doing as well. And he even got the scout as well on the third CC timing of TY, which is nice.
Oh, would you look at that? Once again, we have... oh, wait, what is this? TY has a fast 2-Rex. It's gonna get very quick stim. I kind of missed this, honestly. I was like, oh, TY has less barracks, but That's just because he didn't build a third battery. He's going to have way quicker stim, and I guess that's a way to win back map control as well. He's going to go for a drop into the main base. I'm a big fan of this. This looks really, really cool.
This does look really, really cool, and Clem's Cyclones completely missed it. The Cyclones are just positioned towards the third base, and what he's expecting is a tank move out to start trying to take and establish the third base, right? But instead, TY avoided that very smartly, going towards the left side, since he spotted those two Cyclones, obviously. And Clem is out of position. Now, if Clem would be in position, this would be no problem. He could disable the tank, and he has more than enough to fight this, but he's completely out of position. TY scans forward, and now he stims forward, and he's going to try to chase down a couple of SCVs, even canceling stim.
Oh, stim is so big. This is going to be so hard for Clem not to clean this up. That's not going to be an issue. He's going to clean this up. He might not get the medevac, loses a bunch of workers. But the problem now is that he's never really going to be able to comfortably go on the map. Without stim, he can't fight Marine versus Marine. His combat shield is going to be extremely delayed as well. Where's the E-base, by the way? They are
in the main base. Yeah. He also lost 5 SCVs during this to a Raven in the natural. So TY with some good multi-prong.
Another turret coming in the natural right now. Clem, once again, not the fastest with the response. We've been praising him a lot, but in this series so far, the Ravens have been doing a little bit too much for, as you mentioned before, a really static type of harassment. It's not quite that difficult to dodge. 3 workers going down once again. Clem, however, still at 105 supply, but without stim, without combat shield, and again, someone who already has +1. I'm not sure what the potential is here to push into this.
Yeah, he needs to be careful, but I mean, he used up all the Raven energy now, but he did gain the position forward towards the fourth base, and TY is just going for a counter drop from the looks of things, unless he just wants to unload. Okay, he waited a little bit too long there, but TY is gonna try to trade third base for third base.
CC flew to the wrong side. I'm pretty sure this could have flown into the main.
Yeah, let's look at the Clem's third as well. Oh, he's just going straight into the main. He doesn't care about the base at all.
Yeah,
I'm not sure this was the call. Yeah, I'm not sure.
There's 2 Vikings as well. Of course, no stim does mean that these tanks are going to finish up. Now, combat shield finishing up here for TY as well. What's happening here, Lambo? Second tank sieges up. I think eventually Clem will be able to clean this up, though. And then it's just going to be 3 base against 2. Sure, he's down in upgrades. Sure, his stim is still not starting, but Clem doesn't really have any pressure on him to do anything, does he? He's down in workers though, Lambo. What?
Yeah,
how is this situation?
It's a natural again. Clem's natural. Yeah, there was a medevac drop killing a lot of workers once more, and the thing was TY wasn't playing it perfectly at home, and now that there's more Raven energy, he can kill the 1 tank that was remaining. TY lost a bunch of tanks for free at home while this was going on, but Clem needs to move forward now as well, if he wants to do more stuff. Now, he can also just remake SCVs, but he has 0 SCVs in production, so not sure if that is his plan.
Income-wise, he's still slightly up though. The third mule is so freaking big. Here comes an SCV pull out of TY. He's going to try to break this position. I'm not quite sure about this one, because even if he breaks this position, he won't have any SCVs left. He won't even be able to break the position. Clem takes the series 2-0, is now